Yo, what's happening, guys? Welcome to a brand new edition of Rave Diaries and Tower Block Tales with yours truly, Uncle Doug's in the hot seat. As always, we kickstart saying thank you to all of you guys for watching the previous videos and liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Also, everybody that's enjoying the Run Come Follow Uncle Doug's video diaries as well. Big up all of you lot. So, on today's episode, we're going all the way back to, well, it says on here, valid until the 31st of 1993, but we're actually going back to 1992. And where are we going back to? We're going back to this place here, yeah? Stearns nightclub in Worthing, the house on the hill. This is my membership. As you can see, it ran out in 93, so I don't think I'm going to be getting in anytime soon on it. I'm not going to pretend that I went to Stearns loads. I only went there once, to be honest. Maybe twice. Not important, but I went there. That is important. And how it come around was, I met, or me and my cousin Daniel, we met. Them times there, you was out raving, and you would get on the buzz, and you would make best friends that night wherever you were. Going to be friends for life. You all know what it was like. But on this particular night, we went to the Astoria, and we met two guys by the name of Chris. I think it was Chris and Matt. But Chris was definitely one of them. Anyway, Chris and Matt lived down in Brighton, and we arranged to have a link up at Stearns because that was in Worthing, which isn't a million miles from Brighton. And we wanted to go there anyway, so we arranged to meet these two guys down in Stearns in 1992. Probably would have been about. It was summer, I know that. It was when we come out of the club, it was warm in the morning, the first time I went there. So it was a summer morning. So it would have been the summer of 1992. Now, I wanted to go there so much at the time because I knew it was a good place. I knew it was a good place from what I'd read. I've got loads of magazines and Stearns newsletters, which we'll do on another day. You know what I mean? We'll look through them because I've got quite a few of the newsletters and stuff like that they used to send out. But I'd read in magazines, reports and reviews and stuff how good this place was, because obviously before the internet you relied on Rave Scene magazine and things like that, and word of mouth in the record shop and whatnot. So it was a place we wanted to visit, but now we had a reason. We've got these mates in Brighton, innit? So they live near there, let's go. And the other thing, I would say that Stearns, for me personally, had the best flyers of all of the flyers of that era. And it's funny because there was other flyers artistically, I don't even know if that's the right thing, but artistically, like in terms of like the amount of artwork and the intricacy of the artwork that were leagues above what Stearns were doing. But whoever it was that did their flyers back then, the ideas behind them were amazing. And the one that always stood out the most out of all of them, and this is why it's a clever idea, can be so much better than a simple clever idea, could be so much better than overthinking stuff. It was a black flyer, and it was like a postcard, and it just had Worthing without Stearns. And that was it. And it stuck in my mind. I mean, look, here we are in 2024 talking about it, and that was in 1992. And they had loads. They used to trade off of like Marmite, the Evian water bottles. They would turn their flyers into sort of rip-offs of that. And they always really caught my eye, and I always thought it was really, really clever. So I wanted to go anyway. Now we had a reason. So we drive to this place. Now we'd heard it tagged as the house on the hill. It's this big house on a hill in the middle of nowhere, basically, and that is pretty much what it was. Like, we drove down there, and from what I remember, we drove past it. I might be wrong here, but I think it was a dual carriageway. I vaguely remember driving past it, coming back down, turning in, and going up this hill, up this winding path to this manor house. I don't know what it was. It was this huge country house on top of the hill. Park the car, in we go. And it really didn't let the side down. The thing that I remember the most, again, these are very vague memories of this night, There's a couple of bits that I can remember vividly, but some of it's vague. I remember walking in and they had a Volkswagen Beetle. I always thought it was on the middle floor. They had a top floor, middle floor, lower level, the underground I think they called that. And music was played accordingly, I think. It was a bit lighter on the top, a bit more sort of harder in the middle, and the underground was where the proper stuff was being played. But I remember, I think on the middle floor they had a Volkswagen Beetle that had been cut in half and they'd hollowed out the front of it, and the DJ was playing in the front of a Beetle car, which at the time blew my mind. Thought it was so clever, so good, so quirky. It may have been on another floor, but I vaguely remember walking in. It was one of the first things that I'm sure I saw. But again, you're talking 32 years ago, and I've done a lot of mischievous stuff in them 32 years. So some of my memories are better than others. But I remember just walking around the place, and you know, it's an old manor house, country house. So as much as it's a nightclub, you're still in a massive house, and it was a real mad place to rave. But my real main memory of that night is being in the underground, and you could get quite up close to the DJ. I think it was like a cage or some plastic that stopped you actually maybe touching the decks, but I kind of remember being able to see eye level the decks, and the DJ was right there sort of behind the thing rather than being up on a mad big stage. And the tune that I heard there for the first time that night was DJ Trace, Rude Boy Hardcore, and I'm pretty sure Colin Dowell played it. I'm not 100% sure about that bit. And I remember looking through the thing, and it had, I think it had DJ Trace, Sail Away written on the white label, because it's got the sample of Enya, sail away, it's got that at the start of it. And I come away from that night, and that was the one tune that I come away from that night that I remember really wanting badly, and going around the record shops and saying, have you got DJ Trace, Sail Away? Obviously there wasn't a tune called that because it was called Rude Boy Hardcore. But I did end up getting it. I actually got it on a promo not long after coming back from Stearns. But yeah, it was an amazing night. Again, I think I might have gone there one more time further down the line, but maybe my memories are blending into one. But I definitely know that the first time we went there, Rude Boy Hardcore got played by, I think, Colin Dowell. And there's video. It's funny because if you go on YouTube, there's actually video of people leaving Stearns on a summer's morning in 1992, and just by chance that is the night that I was at, because the people that I went with, my cousin and a few of the others, a couple of the girls, and I think even Chris and Matt maybe are even on it. I'm not on it, but I've looked for myself, I'm not on it. But that night we went is actually on YouTube, so yeah, it's a little reminder. I'm a bit gutted I'm not on it, but maybe it's probably a good thing that I'm not on it, because I used to get in a right mess back then. But yeah, that was my night at Stearns, and you know, I got a big up Mensa, R.I.P., who was the main guy behind Stearns, but also, you know, the people that helped to run the night, and the ravers that it had. I'll tell you what it was. That was like almost the South Coast version of, I guess, a Labyrinth or an AWOL or a Laserdrome. Like, it had a super cult following, Stearns, that still now, they still do reunions, that still sell out. They've still got a massive core of people that follow the page and follow what they do, and they love Stearns. And even though I only went there once, just through my love affair with their flyers and that one night I had there, you know, I've always held it in massive high regard, even though I wasn't classed as a Stearns regular as such. But I was on the mailing list. I've still got all the flyers, and we'll talk about all of them. I'll get them all out, and we'll talk through them one day as well, further down the line. But it's well worth Googling. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Stearns Flyers 1992 Worthing, and you'll see what I mean. They were all very, very clever flyers, very clever designer, whoever that was. But yeah, shout out to all of the Stearns crew, everyone behind the scenes and everyone that used to get down now. But I've got to big up my mate Chris in Brighton, because we lost touch not long after this. You know, probably by 1993, off we went into different worlds. And only last year, I get a message on my Facebook, are you the same Simon Duggins? Yeah, are you the same Simon Duggins that used to live in Dagenham and wanted to be a DJ? Whatever it was that he said, it was so really nice and innocent. And it's him, isn't it? It's my man, you know what I mean? So I messaged him back, and we've ended up like having a really lovely chat on the phone, and he's, you know, misses kids, lives still down that way, teacher, done well for himself in life, and obviously I've done what I've done, and he's really happy because he remembers me being the kid with the Citronic decks that couldn't mix. Do you know what I mean? He remembers that I couldn't mix, and he come round to my house, and we've had a mix around there before, and so he remembers it from the really, really early days, and he was so chuffed that I'd gone on to sort of like realise my dream. And then we ended up meeting up, we had a night out in Brighton together, and it was lovely to see him and you know, reminisce and, you know, reignite that friendship that we had all them years ago. And I still literally only spoke to him a couple of weeks ago about meeting up again soon, so that all came from that night at the Astoria and this place here. So yeah, big up yourself, Chris, if you're watching this, mate. Hopefully you will be. Yeah, so that's the end of another episode of Rave, Diaries and Tower Block Tales. Shout out to my Stearns crew, shout out to all of you guys. Don't forget, please comment underneath. The more comments, the better. I read them all, I reply to them all. I love the fact that there's a little community of people building up underneath now, every video talking about, you know, either the video I'm talking about or their own memory connected to that video I'm talking about. It's wicked, it's wicked. So more of that, please. We will see you on the next edition of Rave, Diaries and Tower Block Tales. Don't forget to subscribe. Love you all bits. Peace and love. We are out.